As technologies continue to advance, the financial sector is looking to enhance current services and innovate to offer customers a better, faster, and embedded experience.
Advanced cloud and AI technologies play a vital role here. And to look at this in more detail, we are joined by Sri Narayanan, Chief Technology Officer and IBM Distinguished Engineer at IBM Payments Center, and Nilesh Dusane, Head of Institutional Payments over at AWS. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's take up the first question. How do you see FSI customers leverage technologies like cloud to offer new payment experiences, payment options like instant payments for their customers? And how exactly is IBM working with the customers to deliver these experiences to their banking customers?
Yeah, we see cloud adoption pervasive across the payment ecosystem. The adoption, of course, varies depending on where you are in the ecosystem. For instance, we see the PSPs, financial institutions, fintechs, paytechs, essentially building payment systems on the cloud. We're working with them to build payment systems across high-value payments, low-value payments, instant payment systems. Albeit, when you look at payment market infrastructures, I'd say there's a lot more cautious adoption. Specifically, you asked about instant payments. I mean, instant payments requires qualities of service. They need high resiliency, high scalability. In fact, I would say elastic scalability because your volumes can go in bursts. They also need low latency. They are obviously payments. They're heavily regulated. So when you look at those aspects, cloud becomes a very natural choice. You have the ability to leverage elastic compute. You can provision capacity on demand. You can leverage cloud-managed services to build faster and I would say more cost-efficient way. And of course, you have cloud offers you resilience. You can deploy across multiple cloud regions. So when you look at those qualities of service, it's a very natural fit for instant payments. And we are seeing, as I mentioned earlier, rapid adoption across the payment ecosystem.
Nilesh, how are financial institutions innovating on the cloud in terms of faster time to market? What are some of the patterns that you can share with us that you've seen in terms of how financial institutions are using cloud?
Sure. So if you think about the evolution of cloud in terms of financial institutions using cloud, they started with what we call as a lift and shift model, where they used to take financial applications and then move them to cloud as is, and then start taking the benefits of what cloud offers, which is scalability, security, resiliency, those types of things. But over the last few years, what we've seen is financial institutions have started re-architecting their payment applications on cloud using cloud-native services. So AWS offers more than 200 cloud-native services, and financial institutions all over the world are using those services to re-architect their payment applications on cloud and offer embedded payment experiences to their customers, whether it's retail individuals like you or I, or corporates, or even merchants or small to medium-sized businesses. And that's the pattern we are seeing, which is because they're using cloud-native services to build payment applications, they can build a lot more embedded experiences. So say you're a corporate and you want to make payments for your payroll or other types of things. Those payment applications or payment use cases are directly embedded into the ERP systems that they might be using, and that makes the payments a lot more efficient and frictionless, if you will. So that's what we are seeing.
And staying with you, Nilesh, let's talk a bit about AI and how financial institutions are actually using AI for their needs.
Sure.
What have you been seeing there?
No, absolutely. So the financial industry in general has been using traditional machine learning and AI for a while now, like almost 10 plus years. But what is really exciting is the generative AI part of it, which has taken quite a bit of momentum over the last 2 years. And what we are really seeing is new value creation using generative AI technology. New value creation, I'll just give you a couple of examples, which is if say you're a corporate and you're doing accounts payables and receivables. So using generative AI technologies, our customers can automate reconciliation between accounts payables and receivables. They can also accurately cash flow forecast things that they might need to manage their treasury or liquidity solutions properly. So that's what we are seeing happen quite a bit in the generative AI space today. And then in addition to that, generative AI is being used for improving productivity and then also risk-based or hyper-personalization at scale for all kinds of customers.
Sri, if we can bring you back in, if you can talk to us a little bit about how building these use cases in a responsible manner with appropriate guardrails.
Absolutely. Trust is essential in payments and financial ecosystem. Without trust, these ecosystems cannot thrive. So we believe that guardrails are essential, and we actually see sort of three components to the guardrails. First is governance. You need clear accountability and what we call model risk frameworks. Second is explainability. You have to be able to explain the decisions these AI systems are making in as much transparent manner as possible to auditors and regulators. Third is data rights. You need to ensure privacy and sovereignty of the data that the model is being trained on, that the model actually is processing. So, when you look at the AI systems life cycle and how you deploy them, it's important to institute these guardrails, everything from model validation, continuous drift monitoring, to also what I call as policy as code to ensure compliance. So for us, it's not a nice to have. It's our license to operate.
And if we look to the future and what's coming around the corner, how do you actually see the progression of Gen AI within the financial industry?
Absolutely. I sort of see this in three phases. I think phase one is what I call mainstream, which is stuff that's already deployed. We've had AI machine learning being used in fraud and sanction screening. There's data analytics, even customer service, with virtual assistants and whatnot from a servicing perspective. So to me, these are mainstream. We are, I think, in sort of the next phase, or the second phase, as I call it, where you're embedding now agentic AI, Gen AI, into workflows. And I'd say a lot of them are around augmenting workflows, although I think the real value is going to come from when you reimagine workflows. And that is around payment operations. That's around dispute management. That's around compliance, right? So we're seeing this as a second phase. But the third phase, which I think we are at the cusp of, is where really you start to build what I call autonomous systems from a payments perspective. We've all been hearing about the buzz around agentic payments and agentic commerce, where agents are able to act autonomously on behalf of customers with appropriate guardrails, spend limits, and all that good stuff, but they can actually now drive payments on behalf of customers, be able to pick the best rail for you, to actually get your payments through, be able to process loyalty for you seamlessly. If you're a corporate client, as Nilesh mentioned, then again, you start to get into some really good use cases, what I call autonomous use cases, where you can negotiate the best terms from a supplier, and effectively you could do reconciliation of payments. So this is a variety of use cases that I think we are at the cusp of as the agentic technology matures, and more importantly, we start to institutionalize the governance frameworks and build the trust. I think we'll start to see this third phase evolve. But I think I'd say we're going to see the second phase mature, but we are certainly at the cusp of a third phase.
You've touched on agentic AI quite a lot there and given some idea of the use cases, but what could we be seeing from this third phase? What are the greatest opportunities there?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, certainly when you look at consumer payments, I think we will start to see a lot more autonomous way these payments get processed. Effectively, we're already seeing elements of that today, where agents can effectively shop for the best product and the best offer for you, and effectively institute or process those payments. I think we're going to see that again from a consumer payment space, and I think there's a lot more automation we'll see on the B2B side as well, with respect to orchestration of the payments, selection of the best rails, selection of the best routes, from a cost, from a speed of settlement, and a time of settlement perspective, and of course I think we will see as well. A lot more, I think, from a risk management perspective as well, where there are appropriate sort of checks in place to ensure these payments are processed, safely and efficiently.
Nilesh, if I can come back to you, talk to us a little bit about how you think the FSI industry can unlock the value of agentic AI and get ready for it.
Absolutely. I think, just to continue on the same theme that Sri mentioned, which is agentic AI enables financial institutions to automate certain tasks using agents or agent frameworks. And what this enables financial institutions to do is to automate these things in context. So let me explain, give you a quick example of what that means. So financial industry being a regulated industry, they have to follow regulations or rules that, that come up quite frequently. There are updates to those rules. So there is a process called payments brand implementation, which simply means every quarter there are a set of rules published by the payments industry, and then financial institutions have to go through those documents and then look at, okay, how do those rules apply to the business that they are in. What agentic AI enables customers to do, financial institutions customers to do, is to look at those documents in context. So say one document is uploaded in October of 2025. Another document, an update to that document, is uploaded in November of 2025. So instead of looking at those documents manually, agents can look at both those documents in context, see what is the difference and what the updates are, and then figure out, okay, how do those documents or how do those updates apply to the business business that the financial institution is in. And that's the exciting part, which is you don't have to just think about one or two things. The agents look at the entire process and then give you their recommendation in terms of, hey, this is how it's going to apply to your business, whether it's a banking business, payments business, or things like that. And that tremendously improves the efficiency of those processes, which were fairly manual up until this time.
And Shrey, what is one key message you would love to share with the audience?
Absolutely. I think I'd say sort of two messages. So the first is, I think cloud and AI are going to be foundational capabilities for payments and financial services. And we, as well as, and I would say the broader industry, need to see them as strategic investments, not as tactical choices. The second is, sovereignty and trust are going to underpin adoption. And especially I talked about AI and agentic AI. So industry needs to balance innovation with compliance and resilience.
And Nilesh, same question to you, sir. What message would you like to leave our audience today?
Sure. So from what we see, the payments industry is in a very exciting place right now. So the entire, roughly there are 80 countries all over the world who are either live or going live with instant payments. So the speed at which money moves is going real time. Second thing is the data that is flowing through the payment pipes is going to structured data. So I'm sure folks over here would have talked about ISO 20022 migrations. So data that is flowing through the payment pipes is going through the structured part. And then lastly, through technologies like AI and Gen AI, you can use the data that is now flowing through the payment pipes and build value-added services for the end customers. And that is really exciting. So you're not just, as a bank or as a financial institution, not just offering basic banking or payment services, you're actually offering a value-added service, and banking and payments are embedded into that experience, which is super exciting for us.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all those insights nice and early in the Sibos TV studio. And what can I say? Enjoy the last day of Sibos. That was Sri Narayanan, Chief Technology Officer and IBM Distinguished Engineer at IBM Payments Center, and Nilesh Dusane, Head of Institutional Payments at AWS.